Hello and much love to anyone that clicked on the video. For those that don't know me, my name is Lighting Hearts, and today we are doing none other than the Under Knife and Birth 2 tier list. And ladies and gentlemen, I love making videos like this because, for one, I love talking about these characters. Two, this game has been going through went through two major updates, for those that don't know, which was the 1.10 balance patch as well as the 1.21 balance patch. It changed these characters up significantly, so if you haven't been paying too close attention to your respective character in Unity 2, this will probably be the best video to kind of summarize what they've been going through since the updates. And we actually have two new characters added to the Uni family, which is if I can move my mouse, which is OGRE, and where is this little witch, and UZUKI, if I can find her right here. So I figured it would be the best time to really discuss these characters in depth once more, and who's kind of top tier right now as well as kind of on the bottom end, even though I don't think there's no real low tier characters in this game. I might rant about a few characters just to give y'all a little disclaimer, and obviously please, this video is going to be in my opinion, take this with a grain of salt, but I do promise y'all one thing, which is my utmost mission, that I will discuss your respective characters in extensive amount of detail so you understand the reasons why I place them the way I do. So if you enjoy this type of content for Unity 2, obviously show the kids some love down below. But that being said, let's talk about these characters on today's video. Let's get into it. Before I get started, I think this is extremely important for me to mention. For those that haven't been paying too close attention to Unity's updates, just to give y'all a quick breakdown, what has been happening since the balance patch for Under Knife and Birth. Essentially, everybody in this entire game constantly gets buffed. Shout out to the French Red development team as well as Kamone. If people don't know who Kamone essentially is, he is the battle game designer as well as the director of French Red, so he kind of oversees a lot of the, I guess, strengths and weaknesses that he decides for these characters. So in the 1.10 balance patch, the game before that, the game had a huge problem when it came to IW damage and special damage in general. Everybody was hitting above the 4K range. It was crazy. I still remember that shit like it was yesterday. I'm looking at you, HYDE. He was a major problem, but in the 1.10 update, they got rid of that. Everyone, and for the better, because I didn't like the fact that this game was moving in that modern fighting game direction. And for those that are seeing what the fuck happens in terms of a bad game patch, I'm looking at you, Tekken 8. People don't like that shit. But they nerfed the damage, but they also buffed the higher echelon of characters. UZUHIRA, HYDE, CARMINE, I think LONDREKIA. Everyone looked at that and said, yo, I don't understand why French Red would do this, but they don't want the characters to feel weak. So in that sentiment, I kind of understand. But we don't want the top tier characters basically getting buffed. I feel what the community wanted in general. They kind of wanted the lower characters to come down. And in the second major update, which is the 1.21 balance patch, we're currently in the 1.22. Everyone essentially got buffed and other, I guess, interesting interactions, which is now you can dash block while shielding. People can do some extra interactions and chain shift in the air. Everybody's DP has thrown invincibility. And a lot of characters got nerfed or shot. Most of the top tiers got buffed up, especially Carmine. I don't know why. Carmine's been a menace for a long fucking time, but they basically buffed him. So to give y'all a quick breakdown, the philosophy of how French Red goes about developing this game, buffs is what they intentionally do, and they nerf, but they don't nerf them to the point to where it kind of shakes their standpoint or their standing within a tier list placing, if that makes sense. So if you see my last tier list, the characters that you saw in S tier might be in the same spot in today's video, so bear that in mind. But now that I mentioned that, let me take a drink of something I don't recommend people drinking, which is an energy drink. Let's get started, because I'm gonna be talking for a very long time. So the first character I really want to discuss in length is OGRE. Because he's the newest character that's been added to the game, and he's currently my new main, so I figured to start off with him would kind of put me in motion on how I can discuss other characters, right? I want to give y'all how I view OGRE before he came out. For one, I didn't want another mid-range or long-range fighter, because if you look at the roster in general, HYDE, good neutral, long range, HILDA, WALDSTEIN, CARMINE, GORDEU, MERKAVA, VATISTA, UZUHIRA, PHONON, LONDREKIA, KUON, KAGUYA. I did not want another character that like excelled at the mid-range. Weirdly enough, I wanted a rushdown character with a command grab, and this is basically what I wanted with OGRE. I love his aesthetics. He is cool as fuck. His lore is fantastic. I think his title is the King of Devils. His OST is a banger. And what else am I missing with him that I really enjoyed about him? And yeah, he just, before his release, he was just a character that I was just trying to speculate or just theorizing how he would play. When he officially came out, which was in February, I was labbing him like a mad rat, trying to figure out what to do with him, what his game win condition is, and I don't want to be too negative on him. Let me actually explain his positives first. Hint, foreshadowing. OGRE on paper essentially has a lot of things, almost everything in terms of the rushdown archetype. He has a 5-frame 5A. For those that don't know, a 5-frame is the fastest A normal in the entire game, so off the bat, that's really good. Fantastic C normals, 6C, great whiff punishing move. 2C, you can kind of think of it like YUZUHIRA's 2C because it's 2 hitting, and it's safe on block, only being -3. Great. And what else am I missing? And his 5C, you can charge it to kind of increase your, stagger window a little bit. Regular 5C kind of has a disjointed hitbox in general. OGRE has some fantastic normals. His B normals are less desirable. They're both 8 frames, his 5B and his 2B. But yeah, the biggest positive with his normals is his A and C, right? Now let me move on to his specials. OGRE has 2 projectiles, which is his force function and his J236. But in order to get the maximum amount of value out of it, you have to TK it in certain situations. And it you can kind of think of OGRE's projectile kind of like HYDE's, because they damn near have the same animation. But HYDE's go straight forward horizontally. OGRE moves like this. So in a weird sense, I figured the way the angle is supposed to be, it would bait out jump ins, but it's really unique, right? He also has Rekkas. He has 214, and they have follow-ups, obviously. 214B is a low, which is -2 on block. If you don't necessarily go for the follow-ups, his regular punch is a -4, which is good. You can kind of backdash and shimmy 24/7 with OGRE. His C follow-up is an overhead, and his A follow-ups is a flip. That's not only good with baiting out reversals, but you can also use it to kind of evade projectiles in the neutral. I don't see a lot of OGRE players doing it, but that's one thing he can do if you're full screen. You can use it to evade projectiles. And the last thing, which you're probably going to find the most value in his entire arsenal, is his command grab. Let me say this up front. OGRE has the most interesting command grab in the entire game, because once you land it successfully, you place a bomb on your opponent. After 5 to 6 seconds, it explodes. This helps out OGRE tremendously because it layers his pressure, his mix-up, as well as his approach options. Really strong of a character of the rushdown archetype. Now that I mentioned that, he also has relatively good defensive options. He has an invincible DP, his ADP. If people don't know, the final hit is actually an overhead. And you can obviously special cancel with J236C to keep your pressure going. And what else? There's also his 214C is fully full screen. So on paper, OGRE kind of has everything, which makes him, well, it should make him relatively good in a lot of situations you face in Under 9 Birth. But the biggest potential is his command grab, because you basically have a layer 2 interaction with your opponent, and it's one of those things that once the bomb is placed on your opponent's character, even let's say in this, I guess, simple scenario, if you want to grab someone, the bomb doesn't go away. So essentially it makes you second guess on when you want to take back your turn when you're fighting an OGRE player, right? So like I mentioned, really good, best value that he has in his entire kit. But God, let me not rant about this character, because OGRE is my main, so I'm aware of his issues and his flaws, but I'm gonna try to keep this civil. In my opinion, OGRE has 3 to 4 major weaknesses. And just to highlight this, if anyone hasn't seen this, FoxUp made a fantastic video breaking down what's wrong with OGRE. He said it in a professional manner. I'ma say it straight like a nigga, honestly speaking. The first major issue, and before I get into that, go watch FoxUp video if you haven't already on OGRE, just to get some more information and insight overall. Shouts to you, Lord FoxUp. You're really doing God's work with this character. But one of OGRE's major weaknesses, his neutral is dog shit. I'm gonna say it straight up honestly. His neutral is really bad. How do I say this to where this again is not gonna seem rage inducing? I want y'all to kind of compare OGRE for a sec to other characters that have that rushdown archetype. TSURUGI doesn't give a fuck about neutral because he has his force function. LINNE, fastest character in the game, and her FF is able to kind of evade projectiles, and she has roll to kind of cross up her opponent or just go behind their back. Really good. SETH, air mobility, can set up orbs, second fastest character in the game. Rushdown. ENKIDU has counter zoning options that helps him navigate neutral. Who else is a rushdown? AKATSUKI, limited mobility, but he has a parry that can parry projectiles, and he has 214C that basically goes to projectile. OGRE is the only character in this game that has to respect for projectiles to the next degree. His 214 does not have any sort of projectile invincibility. Not even, well, his A flip does, but realistically speaking, depending on the matchup, you have to whiff 214A and then go for the follow-up, which is not necessarily good. So what I'm basically trying to laser on with this character is that he doesn't necessarily have a great way of stopping someone zoning at him from mid to long range, or even a really good mid-range check. He has his 214, but when you're dealing with characters that has better spacing than him, it becomes one of those things where you're overly respecting your opponent and you're kind of second guessing what you want to do. Like, you want to do 214 or dash block, but it's so hard because they have moves that lock you down, that can check you. Since 214 is such a easy interaction in general, you find a lot of high level players just jumping and hitting you with a J normal. It's insane, right? So his neutral, really bad. And I also want to say too, and this is going to be, hopefully this might be a meme, OGRE players. I'm speaking to my OGRE players now. Everybody else move out the way. OGRE players, what is the point of JFF? Who in the fuck that's playing this character is using JFF to his fullest potential, bro? And for people that don't know, JFF is when OGRE does this shit in the screenshot. He's like this, throwing it down. And even if you don't use his FF is so situational. It's his full screen projectile for those that don't know. And I think, like Fox have said, I think it's called Beat to the Punch. It's very, very, it's so, like I mentioned, it's so situational. Most of the time you don't even want to throw it out unless you have Warple, because from, I guess, what it said in the command list, it's a better performance. I'm assuming that it reduces his recovery, because once you use it, it's like it takes him so long to recover out that state. But yeah, just keep it pushing before I start ranting about this character, because like I mentioned, he is my main. Neutral, very fucking bad. I don't care what anyone says, his neutral is not good compared to the characters you see below him, even characters that don't even have the best of I guess anti-zoning properties. Ogre's neutral, dog shit. 2, his normals, albeit good, but he needs a buff to where a lot of his normals have increased in cancel windows, because it's kind of difficult in my experience to stagger or to like open someone up when they're trying to mash. The most you can probably do is 2A, 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 2C to catch him. But any person that really understands the Ogre matchup, realistically speaking, you shouldn't necessarily press a button on him, because he doesn't get scary until you hit someone with the command grab. And actually, no, that should be his second weakness. I think Ogre is extremely on. I think he's by far the most honest character in this game besides ENKIDU, because if you don't have the command grab or the bomb placed on your opponent, you're not getting that level 2 interaction. So a lot of his follow-ups, like his Rekkas, his overhead, reactable. His 6B, or yeah, his 6B, which is, I believe, the fastest overhead in the game, but I'm going off of word of mouth. I haven't really labbed other characters overhead to see if that's really factual, but again, word of mouth. His 6B is situational because, for one, you can't special cancel, you can't normal cancel. Only thing you can do really is chain shift to remain safe or to get a combo. Even on hit, if you don't have Warple, you don't get any type of conversion. So situational overhead, relatively reactable follow-ups on his Rekkas. And if you try to delay his Rekkas in general, people can literally hit you out by just pressing 5A. There's times where I want to kind of delay his Rekkas, and literally someone mashes 5A and I'm literally in the airborne state to get comboed on. My fault, my watch was saying I did 3 miles, but I didn't get up out my chair to walk. But continuing. Neutral bad. I believe he's the most honest character in the game. And 3, which is my final weakness with him. I don't think this might not make sense to a lot of y'all, but this is how I feel. I don't want to say Ogre's win condition is not good, because it is. Once you're able to get someone with the bomb and you kind of lab him up to where you can make situations go more into your favor, that's where Ogre truly shines. But in a lot of matchups with him, especially if you're dealing with someone with a good projectile like KUON's, HILDA, UZUHIRA, VATISTA, the list goes on and on. His win condition become that much harder unless you get a good combo, right? And even if you want to use the command grab in general, it side swaps automatically. So it's one of those things where you're like, do you value the corner with Ogre? Do you value the bomb? He's kind of resource dependent to really make his gameplay shine, like most of the characters are, but they have means of locking you down without having to use meter or resources in general, because of how well their normals are. But yeah, Ogre is damn. I haven't even moved on to another character and it's already been like 18-17 minutes. I'm just gonna end it with this. Ogre has a lot of potential. I don't think he's not tournament viable whatsoever, but he really takes I guess, what's the word? he takes a patient player to really understand what he wants to do, especially in a lot of matchups he's bad at. It takes a good player to really understand what you value more, which is the corner or the bomb, wherever the case may be. But OGRE by far has been even the most fun character I had a pleasure of playing, because I love him. He sucks in certain angles, his neutral's honest, but once you win with him, you feel like it was earned. You're not doing no crazy bullshit like CARMINE, whatever other characters are in this roster. So he's fun, but he does have his issues. Once he gets his necessary buffs, I believe he can be an A to even an S tier character if he gets the appropriate buffs. And just to add on to this, if anybody wants to send this to Kamone, please, in terms of his 2FF or his FF in general, I feel like it should be a move where it interacts with the bomb in general, because if it's just a full screen move, if it's just a full screen poke that makes him kind of a sitting duck in certain situations, you should make it to where if you have the bomb placed on your opponent, the FF kind of activates it in a certain way, right? I don't know if it can be used for combo extensions or whatever, because you can't detonate the bomb with 2-2, but I feel like his FF should have a close interaction with that gimmick in general. Like, it could be used for different combo routes or whatever the case may be. Give OGRE maybe a parry or a sway. Like, you develop him to where his game plan can shine with the bomb gimmick, in my opinion. If you're enjoying OGRE right now, y'all might be shaking your head, but that's how I feel about him. So this is his placement. I truly believe he is a B tier character. He struggles a lot, but he's also fun as fuck to play. Now, the next character I want to talk about is TSURUGI. Let me take a drink of my C4. TSURUGI has been probably the most, I don't want to say the most undervalued character in this game, but basically, if I want to summarize this for people that don't know, the opinion on TSURUGI has been so mixed, especially since his release. Most players think he's really good. Other players don't think he's good at all in a lot of other matchups, whatever the case may be. My opinion, I thought TSURUGI was great when he came out. He has 2 armor overheads, which is a 6C and his J236. I think it's J236B or A, but it don't necessarily matter. His 214 is a command grab, or like a command throw, I should say. Has armor behind it and can bypass neutral. His FF, like I said in my last tier list, to me, if I'm going to summarize TSURUGI, he is literally the Leo of this game. You can mix up with his FF. Once you get his Whirlpool trait, his moves come out 4 frames faster. You can also cancel his FF to kind of rebeat. So another great way of mixing his pressure up, and relatively good. In the 1.10 balance patch, they got rid of a punishment that TSURUGI used to spam when he came out on his release, which was his J2C charge. For those that don't know, his J2C charge was punishable on shield. The 1.10 balance patch removed that. So now, once he does J2C charge, I believe it has armor on it, but I haven't played TSURUGI in a long time, so I might be wrong. But the best thing about TSURUGI's J2C charge is that he does this little like slide animation, but the best thing about it is that he can go into his FF stance. So upon him being in stance, or the shield I guess position, he can do his 5A, which is a bash. He can do his 2C, which is a slide, or he can do his 4C, which is the leap, which is basically used to evade one of his weaknesses, which is lows. That gets him out of the shield. This is good. But you can also grab within TSURUGI's shield stance. So it was basically a mix-up option. So it's an air approach as well as a mix-up. And when I read it, I was like, this is a really, really good change for TSURUGI. I'm surprised people are not looking at this as being OD. But For anyone that said TSURUGI was bad before this update, you have to acknowledge his strength now. Because in the 1.21 balance patch, this character got Omega fucking buff. He got his damage, he got damage increase on a lot of his specials. He got his 5A extended turn of his hitbox. His A normal got reduced, his standing A got reduced in recovery, on top of the fact that TSURUGI has a 2A 5A, which is really, really good. And his 5C got buff, which is probably one of his best hit confirmable normals. So, with all this being said, and let me just say this, do I need to mention dash into 236C where he does this shit? Anyone that hasn't got hit with the move knows how fucking dumb it is. It's a move that literally sends you flying, and enables a corner carry combo route. It's even if you block it, it's plus, and it just helps him out a lot in a lot of chain shift situations. So even if you have Warple in this scenario and you win chain shift, there's nothing stopping a TSURUGI player from just 214C. If you block, I'm plus, and if I hit you, you're basically in the fucking corner. I truly believe that TSURUGI is a great character. I don't want to say broken, but if you have been sleeping on TSURUGI, you have to acknowledge his strengths, especially in this version of the game. He is really fucking strong. I guess the biggest weakness that he has is that he doesn't have a traditional projectile, but when you don't give a fuck about neutral, do you necessarily need one? Especially with how big his damage is right now. He does deal with a lot of characters, like he struggles a lot with characters with far-reaching lows. Let's say UZUHIRA 6C, Wagner's dash C, Mika's dash B, shit like that he kind of struggles with, but his kit is well-rounded to where he can deal with it, so it's not necessarily a problem for him. It's up to the player to really kind of, you know, cover that weakness that he has, so I don't think it's a huge negative. But yeah, in my honest opinion, TSURUGI is by far a S tier character. He was S tier on my last tier list, but now he is really a good character. I think we're going to see a lot more of him, especially in the upcoming, I think, Evo Japan, if I'm not mistaken. So hopefully we see a lot more TSURUGI representation. Now, moving on. You know what? I'm gonna save HYDE for later, because I know I'm gonna go on a rant when I talk about him, but I'm gonna save HYDE for later. ENKIDU. Okay. ENKIDU is either A or B. It really depends on how you view him, right? I'll take, on my last tier list video, I said ENKIDU had bad defensive options. I think I have to take that statement back, because I underestimated how good 4C was. I underestimated how good his forward, well, I didn't really underestimate his forward FF or B plus C. They're still great in what they do, but but ENKIDU has good amount of ways to, you know, force a counter hit off his opponents, if that makes sense. For those that don't know, his local trait is called Havoc. This basically increases ENKIDU's hit stun on hit, so he's able to kind of converge off of any stray counter hit that he gets, which is great. Why am I putting him in B is the real question. The balance patches has been weird for ENKIDU. In the 1.10 update, they nerfed his forward. No, I think even before that, they nerfed his forward B plus C. I think in the 1.10 balance patch, they did, if I remember correctly, they did some shit with his normals. And in this update, or the last update, which was the 1.21, they basically just buffed up his counter hitting moves, which is good, which is like 4C and shit like that. And they also changed his command throw to actually being a command grab, but it kind of reduced the range of it. So I don't know if this is like a buff or a nerf to hardcore ENKIDU players, because essentially the move was kind of useless. You'll only really use it if you're able to react to green shields, and that in of itself is hard to do, especially when you have a command row that's a full 360. No pun intended, because this is a 360 controller or Xbox controller in general. So that move was relatively useless unless you're able to react to the green shield pop effect. And if your opponent techs it, you're basically wasting 100 bars to end your turn. So it wasn't the best thing to do, especially in terms of pressure. They switched that to actual command grab, but now they're showing the range. You really have to be close up. Like, I'm gonna talk low because I don't know how loud my voice is on the mic. You got to be like right here to your opponent to really get the command grab off. So yeah, it's a good thing that it's now a command grab, but it might fuck them up in other instances. And what EQ players usually do with him is that they use the 360 command throw as an ender for his combos, because it gives them more Oki. So that's good. But yeah, I still think ENKIDU is B tier. I mean, it really depends on how you view him, because he did get a lot of good buffs, especially his 236C, the one special move that 236C historically used to be a very situational special, because if you manage or you couldn't react to projectiles, you would be literally, I guess, -10 in front of your opponent's face. Let's check my phone. There we go. You'll be -10 in front of someone's face, and they can literally punish you right here, right? But I believe it was the 1.10 balance patch. His 236C now actually throws you away from ENKIDU. So now it's a projectile invincible special move that is ultimately safe. This is great. So ENKIDU got the good buffs, but I don't think how do I say it to where this makes sense? I don't think those buffs are that strong to where you want to like, ENKIDU could be A, but he's weird. Like, it really depends on how you view him. I think I'm gonna leave him at B, because he's still kind of honest. He can do like he can't parry into his second hits on his follow-ups now, which is 5BB. He can parry 5CC, he can parry, and 2CC he can parry, and he can also parry with 6FF regularly and charge. So it layers his mind games a lot. But if you obviously know the ENKIDU matchup, you should know not to press into the nigga and grab him most of the time. So yeah, do I leave him in A or B? I think ENKIDU he can be considered an A tier character, but I think I'm gonna leave him in B, because if you know the matchup, there are a few things that you can punish ENKIDU players for. But his counter hits are good. His vorpal trait is relatively good for what he's supposed to do. He has to spend meter to go for a traditional DP, so that might be bad in certain situations. His 214C, which is his EX parry, is fantastic, especially on chain shift. So that's another relatively reliable, I guess, defensive tool. But yeah, I think I'm gonna leave him in B tier. But for my EQ players watching, I'm kind of in the mix. So honestly, he can be A or B depending on how you view him. But I'm gonna leave him at B, because there's so much stupid shit in this fucking game. Now moving on, who else can I talk about? BYAKUYA. I think for anybody that saw the balance patch, the recent balance patch for BYAKUYA, and especially for those that don't know what BYAKUYA does in this game, for my newer players or my beginners, for people that have been playing Uni for a long time, the way we saw BYAKUYA's balance patch, our eyes were wide the fuck open, because he got a mega fucking buff. His 5A got buffed, and for those that haven't got hit with BYAKUYA's 5A, I don't know if he has the further reaching A normal in the game now, but they basically buffed the range, which doesn't make sense because he already had a long range 5A, so they made it a lot better. I think his 2-2 special now when he does a low is plus on block. If I remember correctly, I'm not a BYAKUYA player, so my information might be wrong. His 5C is a lot further, I believe. So it's like I mentioned in the intro, it's one of these changes where they omega buff characters for whatever reason, but like I mentioned, I'm not a BYAKUYA player, so people might disagree when I say this. He might deserve the buff, I don't know. His set play is still fucking annoying. You still have to block a lot with him. He can now space out his, or he could have been spaced out his overhead, and now his new low, which is another issue. But yeah, BYAKUYA's set play always been a huge problem, pain in the neck. The fact that A normals can counter it in general, and since BYAKUYA has a fantastic ass 5A, it's still a huge ass problem, but he does struggle a lot in certain matchups. His mobility is not the best whatsoever. And what else am I missing with him? I feel like I'm missing something with BYAKUYA I need to mention. I think he has a command grab as well, which is, I think if I remember correctly, he does have a command grab, which just helps him open up turtles or whatever that little web, that spin shit he does on the floor. So really good for him. But in my opinion, depending on how big Black and other BYAKUYA players perform with him this season, he could either be an S tier because of the Omega buffs or A tier, depending on how you view him. So for me, I have to see more of him. Like I said, like every time I discuss BYAKUYA, I'm always in the mix with him because he's still relatively strong, but he might still be behind a lot of upper echelon of characters in this game, especially since his neutral is not necessarily the best. His dash C is really good for countering zoners, and he gets to the corner after he hits it successfully, so that's good. But it takes a lot for BYAKUYA to really get started with set play if he doesn't get the proper confirm. So yeah, in my opinion, I'm gonna leave him as A tier, or he can be A or S. So but me, I'm gonna leave him at A. Okay, I think it's finally time to discuss HYDE. I'm not gonna put HYDE in here. HYDE is not B, ladies and gentlemen. I just want to put him here just so I can explain my points with him. Let me take a drink of my C4 so I can properly convey what I want with HYDE. Uni, when it came out, the biggest issue was HYDE. I'm gonna repeat myself. When Uni came out, HYDE was the biggest. He was the, how do I say this to where this makes sense? HYDE was the main issue with how you go about developing a character, especially with how his game plan is. He was the definition of what's wrong with modern fighting game characters right now. Characters that have way too much damage, that excels in neutral, and is really strong at their overall game plan and how they could get in on you, right? Before the 1.10 balance patch, HYDE hit like a truck, had a dumbass special move which was 2FF, and yes, I'm breaking it down with y'all for those that don't understand how annoying HYDE was. His grab, bro, there were certain players that optimized HYDE's grab to where if he had Vorpal, he would grab you, and like you don't even need the corner certain times. He would grab you CVO and basically kill you mid-screen with a grab. This character was so fucking problematic when I don't want to say season 1 of Uni 2, but basically the vanilla release, right? And the 1.10 balance patch, which was kind of like a direct damage nerf for this nigga in a kind of straightforward way. The 1.10 balance patch, they nerf HYDE's damage or damage across the fucking board. Really good. But they buffed his 2FF. They gave it more active frames, which I was like, why are you buffing him? They also buffed his 3B, which is a far-reaching low that he has. And for those that don't remember, They also gave HYDE's FF, or his force function. Once you charge it, you're now able to special cancel. I looked at that and said, you're getting rid of one problem, but now you're adding on another problem, because now, even if he doesn't have the insane damage, his neutral is still relatively good and retarded. There's a lot of things. Dash sheet, really fucking dumb. But guess what happened once the 1.21 balance patch came out? HYDE actually got nerfed, which is really shocking. I ain't gonna lie, if you're a HYDE player watching this, you probably hate me. When I saw the HYDE nerfs, in my mind, it was like I was having a whole party just celebrating. Like, I'm a huge HYDE hater, so once I saw it, I was like, you know what? Finally, yes, Kamone, you woke up from your hibernation and you shot HYDE in the foot. Yes, thank you. So let me explain his nerfs and where I'm gonna place him. HYDE in certain scenarios, you can still consider him like a top 10, maybe a top 5 character, because he excels at what he does, which is chip damage. Dash C got nerfed in a lot of ways, but it's still great for like a check in the neutral, an overall good get in move. But the nerfs, they nerfed his dash sheet. They got rid of the foot property, and I don't essentially know what that entails. Maybe you can like 2C him before the actual hitbox comes out of his dash sheet. I'm not too sure, but they nerfed that. They also nerfed the cancel window on his specials. So now you essentially have to space out dash C properly. You can't dash C and fucking throw out orbital to frame trap. So now HYDE players actually have to be smart on how they place their dash C normals. Or if anything, they have to waste meter now to keep the pressure going. I like that change overall. What else did they nerf about him? They nerfed his arguably one of the most problematic projectiles in the entire game, which was his 2FF. They made the range a lot shorter. They got rid of the clash properties, so now if you throw an EX move, it doesn't clash with the projectile, it just completely removes it. Really good, because like I mentioned on my last tier list, it was times where you would play a character like VATISTA and HYDE's 2FF would basically be out her entire arsenal. So these are proper changes for HYDE in my honest opinion. And again, the way you view him, HYDE is not necessarily even like bad. You can still consider him like a top 5, maybe a top 10 character, because of the chip damage, the fact that they kind of buffed his strike though in general. They buffed his 2A as well as his 2C. I think his 2C gives him more for movement now, so he can kind of strike, like grab you. So yeah, really good. So I want to play some S tier again or A tier. I'm gonna leave HYDE at A because again, he got toned down, but the way he is, he's still really strong. I just want to laser focus that, or just bring that home. HYDE, even though he got nerfs, he's still relatively strong. Most people would probably say he's S tier, but for me, I like the fact that he got normalized. I'm not gonna say nerfed, normalized. So I'm gonna leave him at A. Love the changes. Kamone, love the changes. Now, who's a character I can talk about? Who's a character I can talk about? Okay, CARMINE. Man, let me take a drink real quick. Hold on, it's good. CARMINE, he just saying his name puts me in a depressing state. CARMINE is so problematic. He's so annoying to deal with. They buffed him, for those that don't know, in the 1.21 update. They basically made his 6C a lot better. I believe that's his overhead, if I remember correctly. I'm not a CARMINE player. In the 1.10 balance patch, they did kind of pseudo buff and nerfed him. They gave him more I guess recovery options or health recovery options. I made a video on it. I said I didn't like the fact that they're trying to essentially cover a weakness that Carmine was known to have, or like that's how his playstyle is that Carmine sacrifice helps for the dumb shit he can do in neutral and in the corner. So if you want a perfect character under Knife and Birth that only needs one real change to make him extremely S tier, make it to where Carmine doesn't lose health when he does a special move. If French Bread ever did that, this character would arguably be top 1 off of just one change, right? So they buffed him twice, or they buffed him in the 1.10, but in the 1.21 they got rid of the health recovery options because they understood, or Kamone understood, that you know what, yeah, since Karma has ridiculous shit, he should be indirectly killing himself for going for good neutral or good space control. Karma players do this thing where they would set up the puddle, and for those that don't know, once he has the puddle out, like I said on my last where the fuck is my control? Alright, yo, the button, he shimmies you to fucking death, right? Carmine is one of the only players in this game that when you're blocking him, you're playing like the Carmine player is essentially playing a one-player game, because he does this. He runs to your face, back dash, runs to your face. Now what I see a lot of different Carmine players do is that they jump back now and they whiff JA and they force you to press a button. So the best thing you can do, and weirdly enough, the creeping edge mechanic that was added in Uni 2, that doesn't even help you to get out the situation, because the way Carmine players space themselves, if you're going for creeping edge, they can literally grab you, reset the situation, your grid broken, so now you really have to hold some shit. He is annoying to deal with. 6B, annoying to deal with. When he has the puddle out in mid-screen, he does 623, which is a spikes that comes out insanely fast. In some situations, it is plus on block. His two, I believe this is 214, which is once he puts in a puddle, it's plus on block. He has a tracking 2-2 that goes anywhere on the screen. I'm getting depressed talking about Carmine. I think Carmine's S tier, ladies and gentlemen. That's all I want to say. He's S tier. I'm kind of tired of the fact that Carmine's S tier. He's like, the more I talk about him, the more I'm going to complain, because like everyone else, I think we're kind of tired of seeing this nigga being so strong. And when the Izumi patch comes out, I don't like. I keep saying I don't want him to get nerfed, but I know I'm trying to keep it civil for my Carmine players. But realistically speaking, if he gets shot in the foot, I'm gonna actually respect that. I'm gonna be like, all right, Carmine players, y'all been having y'all time for mad long. Can he kind of like struggle a little bit? But yeah, undoubtedly S tier. He is really fucking strong, and I am sick of it. So yeah. And what else did they do? I feel like they did something else with him in terms of balance patch, but I can't remember off the top of my head because there's a lot of dumb shit that was added. But yeah, Carmine S tier. Let me talk about Chaos. I want to cry. I want to cry as a Chaos player, man. I really do want to cry as a Chaos player. Let me give y'all some context of what's been going on with this character. Chaos, I feel like since the release of Uni 2 has been the one kid in the classroom that's just been getting mistreated for no apparent fucking reason. Like, he's that one kid that you want to be friends with, where he's getting bullied by a said group, and said group is developers. But like French Bread, like they did such weird changes with him going into Uni 2. Let me just reiterate for those that don't remember. The A normal changes kill Ozzy before the two major balance patches, every time Ozzy got destroyed, Chaos himself would lose health, so he became a secondary Carmine, essentially, for going for simple things, right? So he was very bad in that department. They did give him a lot of great things in terms of Ozzy's moves, so that was fantastic, but it doesn't really shine that far. But the two major updates, which was the 1.10 balance patch, they're buffing Chaos, but I still don't see like Chaos representation, because I don't know if the main problem is the A normal change or the fact that a lot of players just don't value what Ozzy can do in this current version of Uni. It's very, very fucking sad to see. So they got rid of the fact that Chaos loses his health once Ozzy gets destroyed. In the 1.21 balance patch, they also made it to where Ozzy comes back a lot faster once he gets destroyed. So they're probably giving him the things he needs to excel at what he does. But again, like I truly feel like it's the A normal change, because how the fuck are you supposed to continue your pressure when your biggest game plan is getting smoked by a 5 frame, a 5 or 6 frame? I think that is one of the biggest problems of this character, right? So maybe it might be asking too much for reversing it to where he gets killed by B normals, because again, VATISTA still has her shit with the gems, and I believe Seth still has his shit with the orbs, or Baki still has his shit with the webs. So if that's getting reverted, they're gonna revert all the fucking changes with the other characters. So that is realistically not gonna happen. So yeah, like, ladies and gentlemen, he's still a B tier character. Even though he's still getting buffs, I still don't see a lot of Chaos players playing him. I'm gonna say this one more time. I'm so surprised that they didn't give this nigga another anti-air option. 6-6B is the worst like move in the 6-6B is the worst normal in the game. It has no utility. You don't use it for anti-airs, you don't use it for pressure, you don't use it for combos. Worst move in Uni. Don't let anyone tell you differently. The second behind that is OGRE's J2, his JFF. That shit is ass as fuck, right? So yeah, as a Chaos player, it's very like, I get the press talking about him because like I really do like him. He's the only puppet character in the entire game, and the fact that he's not getting the reward that he should, or I don't want to say his shit is inconsistent, because I said that on the last tier list, but that's realistically what it is. It's like the amount of work that you have to put in with him, with the amount of reward you get, it works with certain matchups, but not all matchups. And the fact that his biggest game plan gets smoked by A normals is why he kind of remains in B tier. For people, or for my high level Chaos players, I would really love that perspective on how y'all view Chaos right now. Is he worth playing in tournaments, or is he still just a fun little secondary character that y'all play with certain people y'all have in the community? Let me know, because me as a Chaos player myself, I truly feel like the buffs are good, but it's not warranted to where he's gonna be like an A tier, or you know, see him rise within a tier list. So B tier for Chaos. Really sad to see. Who else can I talk about? I guess ORIE. ORIE in my last tier list. Excuse me. ORIE in my last tier list. I think my problem with how I discussed ORIE on my last video was the fact that I kept really laser focusing on her negatives, and I didn't really appreciate what she can do within her game plan, which is whiff punishment. ORIE also is like BYAKUYA in a weird sense, to where she has a really fucking dumb 5A. Her 5A is a 6 frame, long reaching, and it's also great for rebeating. So really good. I believe she has a 5 frame 2A. I might be wrong on the frame there. I think it's a 5 frame or a 6 frame if I remember correctly. In the 1.10 balance patch, they nerfed her health and they changed a lot of properties with thick and fast. For people that don't know what thick and fast is basically her 214. Probably the most sus name you could ever give a character, especially a female, thick and fast, which is crazy. But let's keep this professional. They nerfed her health for whatever fucking reason. In the 1.21 update, they basically buffed her in a way to where she shines more in what she does, which is basically her divine thrust. They increased the damage. I believe they increased a lot of her damage off her C normals as well. Forgive me if I'm not remembering the patch notes accurately because there's a lot of information. Her DP also had throw invincibility attached to it, so you can't throw her out for whatever reason, or beats throws. This is a universal change towards the rest of the roster. But yeah, fantastic normals. 6B is another good normal that she has, and once you actually hit someone with divine thrust, let's say they block it, it puts you in the best position to where you can use 6B to its maximum potential. So let me just show y'all, I guess, this little situation. Imagine like this is my opponent, this air right here. If I divine thrust, right, and I do like what, 236B, if my opponent is mashing or they kind of enter back with like an A normal, I can literally 5B and get confirmed that way, right? Or I could do A divine thrust. If you whiff, I can do A divine thrust again and hit confirm into the EX version. So ORIE can play around a lot with her divine thrust as well as her B normals, which is good. She also has a relatively decent overhead, which is great. What else am I missing? Her 3C is actually goated. I see a lot of ORIE players with 3C on purpose because it basically doesn't have recovery, but on block you're ending your turn and you can't special cancel, so keep that in mind, my beginner ORIE players. Don't use 3C in terms of block strings. If you are, make sure you whiff it. And what else am I forgetting? Her grab is also situational because it resets neutral. You have to commit to using 2-2C if you want to keep your turn going. And yeah, basically just to summarize ORIE, what they did in the 1.21 balance patch, they just buffed her up to where she gets more damage on the things that she's supposed to do or what she excels at within her kit. So that is another good thing. So I believe ORIE is more of an A tier character rather than a B tier like I placed her on my last tier list. So really proper change, and I love what they did with ORIE. Really, really good. Moving on, let's talk about UZUKI. Okay. How do I talk about UZUKI? UZUKI came out last year of August after Evo. I made a guide on her for those that want to learn her. I believe she is probably one of the most complex and complicated characters in Uni, in my honest opinion, because she has a lot of gimmicks within her kit in general, which is her 214, which is the coffin. She also has a gimmick with her force function, which she probably has the most utility out of anyone in the game, in my opinion. She has the umbrella, she has the slime mode, and she also has the, I guess, the items, which is 2FF. UZUKI in the beginning was good, but like I mentioned with OGRE, if y'all haven't seen, I guess, that part of how Alex explained them, when she came out, she did have a couple problems that needed to be addressed. So basically the main two updates was French Bread giving her the proper changes to where she can do what she's supposed to do, if I'm gonna summarize it like that. So another issue, that the biggest issue that UZUKI has was her 2FF. What her game plan was before the two major updates was the fact that you had to get rid of the bottle to actually start going for shit with the bomb and the minion. Because the status of the bottle was the same as her 236 or J236 special, which basically, if I remember, well, I think now it's poison, but before it basically decreased the opponent's grid, if I remember correctly. So when I made that guide video, I was like, the best thing you want to do is just get rid of the fucking bottle and try to, you know, cover yourself with the bomb or gain like additional plus frames with the minion. Really good. And they changed the ball now to where it's actually poison, so once you get hit with it, your health decreases. And they gave her an icon mode to where you can't remember which item you're gonna throw out next. But yeah, to be real with you, it's a good quality of life change, don't get me wrong, but it's only 3 fucking items and it's the same, you know, sequence every time. Bottle, bomb, minion, bottle, bomb, minion. So like I said, it's a good quality of life change, but realistically speaking, if you've been playing UZUKI, you know the pattern off rip already. So it's cool, I guess. Ozagi has great ways of confirming from mid-screen. She has her 22B on hit, grants her a combo. 214A follow-up, grants her a combo. Or yeah, 214A, which is the low, grants her a combo. She can also mount on her coffin to go for additional follow-ups. She has a grab within the 214A mounted coffin, but it's really situational. I don't see a lot of UZUKI players going for it. And what else? Oh yeah, let's talk about one of her most goated normals, which is grounded 236 I believe 236A, which is I call it the Dino Ride because that's literally what she's doing. 236A is a fast ass low crushing move that grants her a combo on hit, and you can special cancel to keep your turn going. And it's only -3 on block. So this is what I see a lot of UZUKI players do. And you don't know that you can take back your turn after UZUKI does the down ride. They be trying their luck. They be doing this, then throwing out 2B. But yeah, if you see a UZUKI player do down ride, please always check that shit with a normal, because realistically speaking, it shouldn't be mashing after that. But they want to get away with it because it's so fast in terms of recovery. So going to normal, the B version is an overhead, but it's a specific spacing that you need to understand before it actually becomes an overhead. So that's situational. The biggest thing with UZUKI as well is that she does lack defensive options. She only has one, which requires meter, which is the EX version of the Dino Ride. So that's not necessarily good. So if you want to pick up this character, you have to be comfortable with defending and understand uni fundamentals. So that's an issue that she has. And I guess one of the biggest problems I could also kind of explain as well is the puddle mode, or the slime mode I like to call. Phase projectiles, you can't get hit with DPs if you don't move, unless it's like the EX version. And what else am I missing? Am I missing something? And yeah, it's basically used for kind of like an anti-zoning option, or like to mix up your opponent, because the puddle mode is fast and you can special cancel to get out. But the worst thing about it is the fact that you can smoke her in that mode with just normals in general. So if you're playing a character like HYDE and you do, like, let's say dash C, and you kind of want to pervade and you want to evade projectiles, he can literally smoke you out of it with just doing dash C. So she's overall situational, but she's still a fantastic character. I believe that once people optimize her right and she gets another buff with the Uzami patch, because I'm pretty sure she fucking is, she might be an S tier character, because good setups, good set play, her normals are good. I like to say they're good, but compared to other characters might not be, but in my opinion they're good. And yeah, I believe she's an A tier character. How should I say with her? Like, there's only 2 players in my knowledge that really represent her, but I see the potential with UZUKI, so I'm gonna leave her at A. I don't think she's B tier because she has a lot more going with her kit than the characters you see at the bottom. And like I say, even with ENKIDU, you can kind of consider him A, but yeah, UZUKI, really, really good. Now, who else can I talk about? LONDREKIA. I don't. How do I explain LONDREKIA in a way that it like people are gonna resonate to what I'm saying? I don't see a patch where LONDREKIA is ever really gonna leave S tier, because how should I say? Because they buff him in terms of his set play. He has really good confirms as well as neutral options. He actually has a full screen special that only costs 100 bars. I don't think any character in that game has that, really. I have to actually, let me think about it. Who has a full screen, like in terms of covering the whole screen, not just horizontal or vertical, like covering the whole shit? Who has that other than LONDREKIA? And the one special I'm talking about is Icicle Rain. They did nerf it, I believe, in the past 2 updates, or at least in the 1.21 update, so it's not as good as it was before. But yeah, I truly believe that LONDREKIA is the only character in this game that has that, with just wasting 100 meters, which is good for whiff punishment. His normals are fantastic. I have to reiterate this as well. Like, LONDREKIA's 5B is really goated. I don't think anyone that's been playing this character can disagree with that statement. Like, his 5B is really, really fucking good. His combos are great. They buffed his 4C, so now you can do 4CC, you slam down, and you can do charge 236B, which is plus on block, and it gets you the debuff for the ice effect, so that's good. What else am I missing? LONDREKIA doesn't have a traditional DP. He does have his force function to make up with that, but if you understand the LONDREKIA matchup, you know that you can grab him out of it. So technically LONDREKIA doesn't have a true reversal. He has his force function, but you can literally just grab him every time you think LONDREKIA players is going to go for that. So for people that didn't know that, you can literally grab him outside of his force function. What else am I missing? They buffed his 2C. They made it a lot better. They buffed what else? I think they buffed his projectile, if I remember correctly, in the 1.21 update, but I'm forgetting because there's so much shit to read. But yeah, LONDREKIA, he is obviously still an S tier character. Insane corner carry, great Rekka, really good normals, 4C natural 50-50. What else am I missing with this motherfucker? 6B still plus on block. And yeah, I think they increased his IW damage as well too, if I remember correctly, but let me not laser focus on him. He is undoubtedly an S tier character. So let's move on. I know I'm not really explaining that much with him, because realistically I can't, like, the things I'm about to say with him, I said it on my last tier list, so it's like I'm regurgitating the same thing he got. Like, he got buff essentially, so the shit that he was doing 6 months ago, or even like the beginner uni, he's kind of doing the same now, but with just better set play options. So yeah, he's undoubtedly a S tier. Hilda, actually, I'm gonna tell y'all my experience with Hilda that I didn't have prior to my last tier list. Hilda's shadow awaits, and for those that don't know, Hilda's shadow awaits is when she drops the ball shit and follows you, and then on hit it spikes up. You can kind of think of it like HYDE's 22C. Shadow awaits, hands down, has to be top 10, arguably even top 5 dumbest specials in the entire fucking game. And I'm so like, man, let me not rant about Hilda, because there is a Hilda player that's been like, I was so shocked when I saw that shit, and like I was getting my ass beat with Hilda. But Hilda's Shadow Awaits is good because, for one, it grants her a mix-up. Two, if you're really far high level Hilda player, she can reset you. Three, she covers options, so even if you want a creeping edge with a Shadow Awaits, if the Hilda player can react, she can grab you, grid break you, throw you in the corner, set up the orbs, and basically go for her 50-50, right? Hilda is insanely cheap this version. I think in the 2 major updates, if I remember, I don't think I read Hilda's shit that like detailed, but if I remember correctly, I think they buffed a lot of her normals. I think her other special when she does a spike got buffed as well. So forgive me, Hilda players, I don't have that, like, I know she's relatively good, but I didn't read that much into her updates, because I haven't really experienced like fighting a high level Hilda player until like a couple months ago, and then I realized, wow, this shit is actually cheap as fuck. I think her 2C, where she does like the slam shit and has a follow-up, relatively good. And what else I'm missing? If I can mention her weaknesses, I think Hilda is the only player or the only character in this game with no real reversal options. Let me see, who doesn't have a DP in Uni? AKATSUKI has a DP, NANASE has a DP, ELTUM. Yuzu doesn't have a DP, but she has her 214C. SETH has a DP, VATISTA, MERKAVA, GORDEU. I think Hilda, truthfully, is the only character in this game that doesn't have a reversal option. So she excels on her offense, really weak defensively. So if you want to pick up Hilda, you have to be comfortable with blocking. You can't teleport out the corner if opponents like block string has a huge amount of a gap in it, so that's another thing. But since the system mechanics also got buffed in terms of defense, it still indirectly helps out Hilda. So yeah, that's the biggest weakness with this character. I don't think she truly has a real reversal, but she makes up with it with having true 50-50s. And like I mentioned, Shadow Awaits, arguably one of the dumbest fucking moves that French Red can add with a character like this. So I believe she's an A tier character. Most people will probably say she's not that strong depending on the matchup, but I truly believe that she's like an A tier. I don't know if she's S, but I'm gonna leave her at A. Now, who else can I talk about? Okay, KUONs. I gotta lean back for this one. I think I should start from the beginning with KUONs. KUONs, in the vanilla state of Uni, he was probably the most ridiculous character. Like I mentioned, he had the Bison Slide, probably one of the best neutral tools in the entire game, being his grounded projectile, as well as his 2-2, which is kind of like the vertical beam. He can hit confirm off of anything or anywhere in the screen, and really fucking good Oki with his disc, which is 214. And what else am I missing? He also has a DP as well. He doesn't have a like command grab or anything, and he can teleport. And this character also has a flight mode. I think him, KUONs, and MERKAVA are the only characters in this game with a flight mode. And is there anyone else that has a flight mode? No, MERKAVA and KUONs are the only characters in this game with a flight mode, but KUONs is a little more unique because he can actually like fly up and down, so he has like a high-low mix-up, right? Like he can actually, MERKAVA can do it too, but he can't necessarily do it that good compared to KUONs because he needs the baby setup. KUON can just like do this shit in front of you and bitch slap you, wherever the case may be. Now, what happened to him in the 2 major updates? In the 1.10 balance patch, they nerfed his neutral essentially. They They didn't make his grounded 236 like have insane amount of pushback, and I believe it has a lot more recovery. So throughout the balance patches, this character's just been getting shot. I don't necessarily remember his buffs, but he still is really good in terms of his high-low mix. But the second update, the 1.21 balance patch, they got rid of they gutted his 3C, in my honest opinion, right? Let me layer this. His 3C, if you space it out at tip range, it is actually plus on block. So that's good. But now you can't special cancel 3C on block. So with KUON players, you can only necessarily do it in combo or on hit. And the only option you have to remain safe once you do 3C on block is chain shift. That kind of fucks up KUON players getting in reliably, because it was a golden move to kind of keep his pressure going, but he still has dash B, which lets him go into flight mode. I believe it's 2-2. I don't think his 2-2 is plus, or regularly is plus. I might be wrong on that, but yeah, his 3C is fucking trash now. But that's not a problem because it still helps him out in certain combo routes. The only thing he really misses out is kind of staying in strike throw range. But since he still has like the high-low mix-ups and his projectile, his neutral is still really good. And he still has options in his flight mode. I don't see KUON's being anything below a S tier, because if you know how to navigate him in neutral, there's a lot of things that you can like stop your opponent from doing. But the 3C nerf really hurt. Like, I can't lie to y'all, that nerf like hurts him a lot, not being able to special cancel on block with 3C, and that's probably one of his best slow. So I'm gonna say this, right? I want y'all to bear with me. The way I view him, the high-low is relatively strong, and I want to place him at S tier, but like after a while, actually, you know what? I might leave him at A, because the high-low is good, but I feel like if you kind of can react to it, or if you like just go, if you want to just option select and you just throw a anti-airs 24/7, that might stop KUON players. So, but the high-low, it's still good. It's just the 3C is not that good anymore, only on combos. I'm gonna leave KUON in A tier. I might, it depends. I'm gonna leave him in A tier for now. I might change my mind towards the end of the tier list, but I think right now I'm thinking he's an A tier character. He might not be S, but I think he's A right now, the way I'm viewing him. Let's talk about LINNE. You know what's funny about LINNE? I have to say this on every tier list I make. My last video, I said LINNE was the underdog of this game. And what happened to her in the two major updates is the 1.10, like how BYAKUYA got Omega buff this version, she got Omega buff in that update specifically. I don't know if this is true, I believe LINNE is the fastest character in this game now. I don't know if it's a tie between her and Seth. I think, yeah, realistically speaking, I think she is the fastest character in this game. Seth might be faster than her or a close second or as equal, but she is the fastest, right? And in the 1.10 update, they made it to where her 2C has a really huge cancel window. So for those that don't know, 5C and 2A, or 5C 2C, excuse me, and the 2A width is only -1 on block. With good ass spacing, her grab animation is relatively fast, and LINNE has great ways of converging in mid-screen. She also has an anti-zone option with 2-2C. LINNE is probably one of the best all-rounding rushdown characters in the entire game. Probably better than, well, a close second low-key might be WAGNER, but people don't play Wagner that much. But I truly believe that LINNE is a good all-around character, that she can combat a lot of situations in this game, and people like to call her a rat. I don't like to disrespect a character like LINNE in terms of calling her a rat, because she might be short, but she is your elder, or she is the elder of the oldest character in this game. So please treat her with some respect. Players that are calling her rat, she's not a rat. She is a very beautiful character. But staying on topic, she is great. I can't really tell you a weakness that LINNE has other than Oki. The only issue she has is Oki. And if you want to spend meter for some Oki, you can do TK Kuga, which is TK Kuga is what on block. I believe it's +2 or +3 if I remember correctly. So TK Kuga is really good. The newest move they added with her was the Kuga follow-up when she does, I believe, forward B+C, if I remember correctly. It's been a minute since I played LINNE, so forgive me if I get the notations wrong, but that's good, only being -1 or -2 on block, so relatively strong. And in the second major update, weirdly enough, they kind of reverted the change that they gave her in the 1.10 balance patch, which was the 2C delay window. They made it a lot more strict now, and they made her 2-2C a lot better in terms of combo conversions. So LINNE got buffed, and she's still relatively strong, but it kind of toned down her 2C cancel window. So depending on how you view LINNE, I think she is one buff away from being like a S tier character. Like, she's really, really fucking good. I think people kind of sleep on her a lot. Like I mentioned, she is probably the best all-rounding rushdown character in the entire fucking game. Only thing she lacks is Oki. But if you just play simple uni like 2-2A, 5A, 5C, if you understand gaps and gapless pressure, LINNE will reward you a lot, like a lot of other characters in the game in that department. So for me, she's easily a A tier character, but I can see the argument of her being a S tier because she doesn't really have that much weaknesses, and she has probably one of the best defensive options in the entire game. The fuck? I got messages on some stupid shit, right? So yeah, she is a tier character. Who else can I talk about? Let's talk about YUZUHIRA. I need to take a sip because I might go on a rant with this character, so give me 1 sec. YUZUHIRA. Okay, I'm gonna be honest with y'all, and this is coming from like my journey with this game started with this character. I love YUZUHIRA, but I understand the hate that this character be getting. And I couldn't really understand it until I started playing other characters, because you don't know your own character's shit until you fight your own character, right? So I think this is well to mention that if you want to describe what Yuzu is, I'd consider her consistent conversions, or like anything she does, she's going to get a combo off of. If she does 2-1-4 or 2-3, was it? What's your slash? Is 2-3-6, right? If she does 2-3-6 and you get hit, full conversion. If she does 2-1-4, full conversion. If she grabs you, full fucking conversion. 2FF, full conversion. 4B, full conversion. Anything that you get hit with this character is gonna lead into a combo, and it's especially bad since she has great neutral options. Yuzu only realistically has 3 specials. I believe, yeah, like 3-4 specials if you count on IW. She has the teleport, she has 2-1-4, and she has her 2-3-6, right? But since she's a stance character and she has options of how she can navigate into neutral, she is arguably one of the hardest characters to rush down in this game, period. Because she has a dodge mechanic, And the best thing about her dodge is that once you properly react to opponent's normal, let's say like prime example, like Ednum's, let's say rocket, or what's that shit called, the fuck, I'm forgetting, let's just say her rocket bullet, right, or her bouncing bullet. If you're a good enough Yuzu player, you can literally dodge it, teleport behind her, and punish it. If you fight against MERKAVA and he does like 214, which is the arm shit, if you're a Yuzu, you can dodge it and literally punish it. She is the hardest character actually pinned down in this game. I don't want to say her defensive options are below average. She has 4B, which counters projectiles in mids and highs, but her 214C, you can only really use it if your opponent is in, like, I guess, what is it, like the improper spacing, because you kind of want to be close range to Yuzu, or not necessarily in strike throw distance, but in a position to where 214 is not gonna hit you like that, right? So her defensive options ain't that good, but she makes up for it for having very annoying neutral, and the fact that she can converge off of anything that she hits you with makes her a annoying ass fucking character to deal with. In the last two major updates, I believe they buffed her to where she I believe they did something with her stance, but the way they described her buff, I didn't know, because they do the move, or they label the move rather than the input. So all I know generally is that she got buffed. So Yuzu, realistically, I don't think she's ever gonna like be below a S tier, because of how her archetype is, how well her reward, or how much reward she gets on her normals and her supers. And I feel like I'm missing something. I feel like I'm missing something. But just to end it off with Yuzu, she is still strong, y'all. You're not gonna see a Yuzu below below S tier. Really annoying to deal with. And if you're someone that wants to learn UZUHIRA, trust me, she does have a huge I guess learning curve. She is one of the most difficult characters in this game, but once you master her, you are gonna be giving your opponent mind grades, because they want to get in on you, and you're just essentially doing this 24/7. So yeah, UZUHIRA, definite S tier character. Let's move on. What else can I talk about? Who else? I want to talk about MERKAVA. Let's talk about WALDSTEIN. Fuck MERKAVA. WALDSTEIN's updates have been relatively interesting, to say the least. Like, a lot of what he got was him basically buffing, I guess, how can I say this? They are buffing his grabs, essentially, and this is really good because his neutral is way better than it was in any uni game prior. The new move that was in Uni 2, which he does the Hulk smash, helps him out a lot. The rock though, if opponent gets hit with it, grants a wall bounce for him to get a conversion. So WALDSTEIN's neutral, even though he's probably the slowest character in the game, but he's the tankiest because he has the highest health pool, his neutral is not that bad. His frame data is less to be desired, but with how well he is in the strike throw range, and on top of the fact with the last update, the 1.21 balance patch, now he's able to special cancel on his grabs. So this means that if you're in, like, let's say your health is below 30%, he can actually kill you if he grabs you regularly, because now I can special cancel and kill you. So that is a fantastic change for WALDSTEIN, in my honest opinion. I believe that he should have had that before, because it just makes sense for a character like WALDSTEIN in general. But yeah, he is a A-tier character, and in, I guess, the lower patches, or the patches that weren't a huge significant change, like the two major balance patches, they basically kept giving him quality of life change. They buffed his 214 special. They gave him a lot more range, so that's good. He has decent defensive options. And what else am I missing with him? What else am I missing with him? Yeah, WALDSTEIN to me has always been one of those grapplers that are really, really good. I think he's going to get buffed the next major update as well, or they're probably going to do something to make his game plan a lot more interesting. So I'm overall happy for you WALDSTEIN players. Please play basketball with your opponent's body, because he probably has the funniest combo routes in the entire game. Let me actually mention that before I move on. If you ever fought a high level WALDSTEIN player, I can't help but laugh, because his 6C ways does this and then he links it into 214. It's like he's playing basketball with your body, because he's slam dunking you on the ground. So I always find an enjoyment when I fight WALDSTEIN, because like his combos is just funny as fuck to see. But yeah, I believe he's an A tier character. I can see the argument of him probably being S depending on how long someone has played him. But yeah, he's probably one of the best grapplers in the game, probably besides GORDEU. Who can I talk about next? MIKA. Yo, man, oh my god. Okay, my MIKA players, we actually let me be realistic, let me put MIKA here. Okay, my MIKA players, if you're watching this part, MIKA actually, I believe, has an 8-weight mix-up now to where she can kind of float. And let me just say this, right? For those that haven't read Kamone's interview on Twitter, this is just to summarize it for you MIKA players so y'all understand the balancing direction for this character. The way Kamone views characters like MIKA, like being short and fast overall, they've always been top tier. I believe he's talking about Multi-Blood and probably another fighting game that I'm forgetting. So I'm basically mentioning this to say that realistically speaking, MIKA is never ever gonna be a top tier character. She's never ever gonna get buffs to make her above a B tier character, because these are the words from Kamone himself. MIKA is a joke character, and she basically I'm laughing because he's tried to say that if you play MIKA, you have a soft braid. So that's basically what the character is for. I'm not cutting MIKA players' asses, but this is the word from Kamone himself. He thinks of MIKA as a joke character, so he realistically doesn't want her to be a strong character. And this is evident because in the 1.10 balance patch, all MIKA really got in that update that gave a lot of other characters different shit, MIKA essentially walked away with nothing. The only thing that she had that was worth mentioning is the fact that she's able to chain shift off of her force function on whiff. And in my honest opinion, I said that wasn't good, because if you're a long-term MIKA player, or if you've been playing her for a hot minute, you should know not to throw out FF just randomly in neutral. You can charge it to be a true overhead, which is good. And yeah. And if you're wasting a precious resource like Vorpal for MIKA, you're mixing it out on a huge amount of damage, because her command grab requires that resource. And for those that don't know, MIKA has the most damaging command grab in the entire game. If you have Vorpal, you can simply chain shift, and she does easily 4.5 going up to 5k damage if you optimize the combo right. So that's why I said it doesn't make sense for you to waste a resource that can basically close out a round on something like, you know, you chain shift and you just remain safe and neutral. You as a MIKA player, it's your job not to get like fucked up that much in neutral, because like she has to deal with zoning a lot, but since she has like the rocket thrust, she can kind of navigate in a way to where she doesn't have to interact with it. So that's more of a skill thing rather than, okay, I'm wasting rope with just chain shift. So yeah, 1.10 balance patch, character essentially got fucking nothing. So players looked at MIKA and said, you know what, I might as well learn a different character. But in the second major update, they actually gave her, what's the true saying, or how do I describe it? I don't want to describe it as a 4-way mix, but I think that's what it's described as. Basically, now when MIKA does her rocket thrust up, she can kind of glide her way in front of you or behind you, which layers her pressure. which is something I said on my last tier list. I said Mika should have a way to where she can cancel her 236 so she can layer her mix up, and that's basically what they did in her second in the second major update. So this helps Mika a lot to opening up players in general, so I think that is a fantastic change for her. She also has a lot of anti zoning options, the newest or the new move that was added in this game, which I believe is 2FF. Really good, and it's kind of like a command grab, because if you times the button correctly, it gives her a perfect recovery so she can go for a combo extension. But like I said, I'm not really that high level Mika player, so tell me what that, I guess, perfect, what's that shit called, I guess that perfect time on the button does for her in terms of her combo routes. Let me know down below. But yeah, Mika got some really good changes in the 1.21 balance patch, so I'm happy to see this character actually getting some sort of changes with her in general, because the way Kamone described her, she's not ever going to be good. She's a joke character. She's developed as a joke character, but even if you are a joke character in general, you should have something to where you have some type of player expression or just shit to make your opponent fear you in general if you're really a high level player. But yeah, I think she's a B tier character. Even though she does have like the 4-way or the 8-way mix now, is not necessarily that good compared to what characters can do in the neutral. And yeah, and before I don't think I mentioned this in my last tier list, but Mika actually has a fantastic ass DP. Like, Mika, I believe, is the only character or one of the characters in this game that can cover like back jumps. So for those that don't know, her DP, when she does this spin, she can literally do DP, spin, go upwards to cover you back jumping, and she can EX special on whiff to remain safe. And before I forget this, because I just remembered it, what they also did in the second major update is that they buffed her air normals. So her JC has a huge lower hitbox now. It comes out a lot faster. So they're making it to where her air shenanigans is a lot more annoying. So I think that's really good. So, but depending on how well you play Mika, she can be like, there could be an argument of her being an A tier character now, but she's realistically still B tier in my opinion. I don't think she's better than LINNE. If you're a Mika player, there's no reason for you not to have like a LINNE as a secondary, because they essentially do the same shit, and LINNE arguably is faster than Mika. So it depends how what you value more. So Mika, in my opinion, is a B tier character. Who should I talk about? Wagner. Let me take a sip. Hold on. Wagner, I think, is underrated. I think more people need to play Wagner, because I'm gonna say this right now, just as a simple game comparison. If you're a HYDE player and you kind of want a more rushdown oriented style of HYDE, even though he's still basically that, but he has more neutral options than Wagner, pick up Wagner. These two are literally complete opposites, and they have both how do I say this? They're opposites, but they operate in similar fashion. Just as a game comparison, think of HYDE as regular soul bad guy from Guilty Gear Ascend-Core, and think of Wagner as Holy Order Soul, if people know the references that I'm giving out right now. That's basically these two characters in a nutshell. Wagner excels at buffing her weapons, so she has increase in range in her normals, and she gets more damaging combo routes. But HYDE excels way more in the neutral rather than Wagner. Wagner's neutral is relatively linear, because all she really has is move that propels her forward, 214, which is the shield tackle. Once it's buffed, it goes through projectiles, and it has what is it, guard point or some shit like that. And her 236 is really good if you special cancel into 2-2 it's a frame trap, and she's plus, or obviously she's plus if you can't special cancel, so this is good. Wagner also has 6B like HYDE, but the difference between Wagner 6B is that second hit floats her enemies. HYDE's 6B floats his enemies or your opponent on the first hit, so really good normal. They both have a relatively good strike throw game, or a good strike throw game. Wagner's, I think, is a little better than HYDE right now because, for one, she has J4FF, and for people that don't know, J4FF charge is plus on block, but you can obviously option select it if you go for an anti-air, but I think it's still relatively good. Once Wagner has a sword buff, she can special cancel for way more damage on a grab, and she can go into like 3 point something K damage if you have both things buff or just a sword buff with proper resources. So I think that's great. So let's say, for example, right, if you're like at a health deficit to where you're like at 30% health range, Wagner can kill you if she gets a simple grab off. So I think that's huge value with the character. Forward FF is still retarded, and there's a tech to where if someone was to back jump and you do 6 FF, you can do, what's that red effect that motherfuckers be doing to do CV or IW damage? I forget the name, but you can do that to basically do an air unblockable. A lot of what Wagner has in terms of her function is relatively safe. The shield bash got buffed in the 1.21 update, so that's good. Her 5C got buffed. I believe her 5A get buffed, if I remember correctly. Basically, to summarize Wagner, she got buffed like all the other characters. The only thing that I remember that got nerfed was her backdash, but I don't think that's a problem with how dumb her normals is and how huge her damage is overall. But what is it that I'm forgetting about Wagner? What is it that I'm forgetting about her? I guess I'm gonna summarize it like this. If you value more rushdown things, or just value rushing down your opponent way more, and you want a simple like option select with her, like charge shield or shield buff into force function, basically covers a lot of options. It goes through DPs, certain normals, as well as lows as well as low as well, and it basically covers everything. The only thing it doesn't cover is guard thrust and creeping edge, and I believe you can veil off it, but I believe if it's buff, it eats it up as well, so I might be wrong on that. But Wagner, to me, I think is underrated. Do I want to put her S tier? Because the way I view Wagner, I think she's too strong for people not to talk about her. I think the main reason why Wagner's not spoken on like that is because of her neutral. But when she gets you in the corner, she's so scary and like annoying to deal with. And her shield buffs and her sword buffs are a lot better now. So I'm gonna leave Wagner S tier. I'm gonna leave Wagner S tier because her damage is ridiculous. Her strike though is still good in my honest opinion. Her FF options are all fucking safe. 6 FF is safe. Her shield bash charge is only neutral on block, good. Her 2 FF safe, so, and they're delayable, so you can really mess up with your opponent's timing. So I'm gonna leave her. I'm gonna actually leave Wagner S tier. I think she's really fucking strong and underrated. But yeah, great character. Let me talk about Seth. Let me talk about the GOAT. My Seth players. I had an experiment with Seth, I think a couple months back. And just to give y'all my background and my lore with Seth, I always used to hate this character because I always fought like the good Seth players. So in my mind, I said, yo, Seth is bullshit because he can do so many dumb things. Probably the most potent mix-ups in the entire game, in my opinion, because he can left right you. He has an air unblockable. He can fast fall. He can also backdash. His backdash leaves him airborne. He has a overhead. He has a command grab. If you look at Seth on paper, he essentially has everything. He has good Oki. Again, great setups. One of the fastest characters in this game. The only weakness that Seth has is that he has the lowest health pool and his matchups are relatively easy. Well, detriment if certain characters have a means of, you know, countering him in the air. But the experiment I have with Seth was the fact that I was playing this character a little bit and I had insane amount of depression because, for one, the execution, where's my controller? The execution that you need to play Seth at the highest level is insane. Two, the fact that he has the lowest health in the entire game promotes you to play way better than your opponent. Three, oh my, three, if you're not really a player that wants to get into a lab like that, stay clear the fuck away from Seth, because in my opinion, I truly believe that Seth is the hardest character in this entire game, period, because it takes so much knowledge to really maximize him to the highest potential. In the 2 major balance patches, if I remember correctly, Seth did get buffed. He's a lot more stupid now. I believe in this version they did something with his force function to where now his orbs can destroy other projectiles, which was stupid when I saw it. But yeah, he is, well, I'm gonna say this too, I haven't fought Seth this version of the game, so I don't know how true my words are. I only saw that interaction up on I'm gonna be honest when I say this, so y'all don't think I'm capping, but I haven't had the pleasure of fighting Seth yet in this version of the game, so I'm just, again, being real with y'all. So truthfully, I think he might be better, but I haven't seen what he can do in this version of the game. But Seth is undoubtedly the hardest character to perform with, the hardest character to learn and master, and his execution is probably one of the most demanding in the game. So if you're someone that likes difficult characters and you really want to have, let's say, character expression or player expression, Seth is your character to get your hands on. So my I guess good shit to you Seth players, because when I tried them, I had depression. I could not do all the shit y'all were doing. I'm over here fighting like Wagner, and I'm like, damn, all she has to do is just a simple 5B 5C into a 6C link. I gotta do all this extra shit in order for me to really get like something going. So yeah, I have the utmost respect for Seth players if I'm glazing y'all real quick. So, but in my opinion, I believe Seth is an A tier character now. Do I want to put him in? Well, you know what? A tier. I think A tier is relatively fine for Seth. So he's not bad, but it is a lot of work that's going to take you in order to get really, really good with this character. So yeah, I'm going to leave him here. I think it's finally time to talk about Ednum. I'm not gonna pretend like I know everything about Ednum, because like I mentioned, like the only reference I have off of Ednum is the tournaments and who is this Japanese player. I'm probably gonna butcher his name. I'm not gonna even attempt to pronounce his name, but hey, y'all hear my dog. Once Ednum got on the board, he was like, yo, you gonna talk about this high tier ass character? But yeah, y'all know what Japanese player I'm talking about. I forget his name, but I forgot how cheap ADP or assault DP was. The fact that he could stop anti-airs and shit like that is real. Like, I saw that in Evo and like the recent what was it, Arc World Tour tournament that happened. And I was like, yo, how the fuck do you beat a character like this? And her other, I guess the fact that her enhanced bullets is like extremely plus on block when she actually reloads. So Ednum is a pretty scary character. And respectfully, the way she was in Clear, I'm happy to see what she's fucking doing now, to be real with y'all, because in Clear, people are saying she's low tier as fuck. So the fact that Ednum just did a whole 180 throughout the months of uni, and she just came back, that I think it's Saru, if I pronounce his name right, and he's a legacy player for those that don't know. He's been playing this game for a long ass time. He just came back and just started smoking everybody with this cheap ass shit. Is really, really beautiful to see. I think Ednum is ultimately a S tier character, and she's always been relatively good. I think in well, besides Clear, she's always been like probably like a middle ranking character. So the fact that she's really, really cheap now, and the shit that you can do with her, she's undoubtedly a S tier character. I'm not gonna pretend like I have all the information with Ednums, because I have to say this again. I do not have, there's not that many strong Ednum mains right now, in my opinion, that I be facing like that. So my perspective on this character is ultimately limited. So if you're an Ednum main watching this, please, if you can explain like truly why she's so cheap, because I'm going off of the references I see off the tournaments and how Saru is just smoking everybody with the ADP shit. And the fact that she can kind of stall or win Vorpal Cycle with the special move where she does the little flip shit, where she's like like, so yeah, Ednum to me is undoubtedly a S tier character. Now moving on. Let's talk about Kaguya. In my last tier list, I put Kaguya B tier because I didn't find any value in her in the mid range. But just looking at the two major balancing patches, this character is getting buffed up the ass for whatever fucking reason. Let me mention her normals. Kaguya actually has some good potent mix-ups that I kind of neglected early on. She has a good 5A. I think her 6C is good because of low crushes, and she can remain safe doing 236B, or not 236B, 236A, which is a 3 string special, which is good. You can also make a little mind game with a grab, so if you think she's going for a special, she can just check you and keep you awake on the defensive end. She has interesting ways of playing around assaults as well, because she has like how do I describe it? Like, she has almost what Seth has, like a forward momentum special, and she can kind of cross up with JB, so that's nice for her. Her zoning options is 236B. Was it a two-layer projectile? The first hit hits completely horizontal, but the second hit hits horizontal but also at a low angle. So the second hit, I think you can assault over it. So really, really good. Dash C is a full horizontal projectile, which is plus on block, as well as her EX move, also plus on block, full screen. So that's nice. And what else am I missing with her? The whole thing with Kaguya is the fact that I feel people think she's weak. I don't think Kaguya is weak anymore. I think she's relatively strong. Like, it feels like Kamone is looking at Kaguya and saying, and the way people kind of talk about her is like, yeah, she's weak, and Kamone is like, okay, she's weak, so buff her. But I feel like hopefully in the next patch she doesn't get buffed too much. Not saying that Kaguya should be where she was before, but yeah, Kaguya is good, y'all. Please leave her the fuck alone. Don't buff this character no more. Like, she's good the way she is. She has great mix-ups, great normals. I still don't know if her DP is invincible, so I'm assuming it is. She probably has an invincible DP now. And like, she's overall good. If you haven't fought a high level Kaguya player, trust me, she is a great character. Do not buff her anymore, because every time I go on Kaguya's sheet or page in the balance patches, it's like a whole fucking paragraph. Don't like leave her alone. She's really good. But yeah, I believe she's an A tier character now because of the buffs that French Bread gave her. And before I put her in B, she's ultimately A now. So she can hang with the upper echelon of characters if you play her appropriately. Realistically, like any character. MERKAVA hands down has to be one of the most ignorant characters on, well, I can't say most ignorant character on this list, but if you look at what he got in the 1.21 balance patch, they basically buffed a lot of things that makes him ignorant. Like his normals, I believe his 6, was it? His 5C got way more range, so he has more good neutral pokes now. His 236C is like, if you want to play a character that gives you mix-ups that can help you a lot on the defensive end, because J236C is such a knowledge check and you have to know the exact timing on when to shield it or how you're able to punish it, play MERKAVA. He is a relatively good anti-zoning character. Like I mentioned, he's the second character besides KUON's that has a flight mode. And if you shield it, you can still go for his follow-up, so you can't necessarily punish that. His baby setups are really good for high-low mix on 50-50s. His grab now, for those that don't know what he got, his grab now hits at maximum damage depending on, it doesn't depend on the character anymore. I didn't know that MERKAVA players had to do that, but yeah, he has got buffed to a really good place right now. So yeah, so the way I look at MERKAVA in terms of the balancing patches, he really just excels at what he's always been doing in uni. Is just being an annoying ass character to deal with in the neutral. So yeah, I don't like MERKAVA. Like, he's I'll say that the buffs just help him out a lot. So I think he's probably going to be one of the most annoying characters in this version of the game by far. So if you're a MERKAVA player, rejoice, because now you're going to be way more stupid to fucking deal with. But yeah, he is ultimately an A tier. And good shit on the buffs that he got in the 1.21 update. Now, I'm gonna talk about VATISTA. VATISTA. How do I mention VATISTA? VATISTA is one of the most difficult characters in the game because I think she's how many charge characters are in uni? Let me see. I think HILDA is also a charge character. I could be wrong on that. I think VATISTA truly is probably the one character that just fully committal to charge inputs. And her charge inputs are actually really unintuitive, because in order to do her projectile, I think you have to hold forward and then like release whip back. So it's kind of like Gal's Sonic Boom but inverted. So VATISTA is probably one of the most, well, I wouldn't say she's not as difficult as Seth, but she is one of the hardest characters in this game. What did she get in the 2 major updates? I think, if I remember correctly, in one of the 2 major updates, the 1.10, I think they fixed her DP animation. So before, if VATISTA players did the EX version of DP, she would basically do this, right? She would dive down, go up, and then like dive down again and do this whole dumbass sequence, right? And you would have to run right behind her and then punish her shit. But I believe in the 1.10, if she blocks it, or if you block it, she now only does like the DP, and now you can punish her regularly. So quality of life change overall. I wouldn't say it's a nerf, but if you block it, it's punishable regardless. What she got in the second update is a lot of more active frames on her normal, especially her 5B or 2B. For whatever reason, they gave her a lot better poking. Like her 5C is a lot longer now. I think her projectiles got buffed as well in terms of damage, if I remember correctly. So yeah, just to summarize what this update did for all these characters, they French Bread or Kamone essentially buffed up their initial game plans. Good pokes, VATISTA, relatively good pokes, great zoning options, and made her to where, you know, she just shines at her game plan. So I'm not a VATISTA player. I don't know how good these buffs are. I don't think she is S tier compared to how she was in clear because of the no counter hit bullshit. But I believe that she got some relatively good buffs. She's still a difficult character, so I think the best placement I could leave her in is A tier. I might go quick with this tier list now because we're about to approach the 2-hour mark. Now, these three characters. Let me talk about GORDEU. GORDEU actually got, I think, I'll say this about you GORDEU players. I think out of any buffs that really, like, I understood that he needed this, I really enjoy reading GORDEU's balance patch because I really like his buffs, man. Like, who said that? I think there was someone that said this, that the buffs made one of his hardest routes a lot more simple. So I think that's good. Like, the fact that his heart, well, you know, it lowers character or player expression a little bit, but I don't mind that because, yeah, GORDEU in of itself has never been like a difficult character in general. It is like a skill thing that he has, but the fact that it's more consistent now, that combo is really, really good. I believe that his 5A is now a 6 frame, if I remember correctly. I know they buffed his A normals, so that's good. And GORDEU's 5C got buffed again for whatever reason. Like, they made 5C, I think, a lot further reaching, and the recovery is a lot, they reduced the recovery, so his neutral pokes are better now. So yeah, and I don't want to make it sound like I hate on the GORDEU buffs because I really do understand it. He is probably one of the only other grapplers in this game besides OGRE and WALDSTEIN. So he has safe mid-range pokes that he can leave plus, and if he wants to open you up, he has his command grab to rely on. So I always said this, if you want to play a character that excels at fundamental uni, GORDEU is your character. Grim Reaper, still dumb as shit. His reversal options, really strong. EX command grab has invincibility. J236C has invincibility. I believe it's plus on block as well, if I remember correctly. What else? EX Grim Reaper. And what else did they buff? I think they buffed his 3C as well. I don't remember what they did with 3C off the top of my head, but I know that normal got buffed in a certain way. But if you space out 3C correctly, it could go from minus to plus, so that's good. You can also make GORDEU's 3C as a little mind game because you can charge it and someone wants to mash a button back at you. What GORDEU players like to do is they will do 214C, which is EX command grab you for trying to take back your turn and set up some dumb shit. So really good. Also the new move that they gave him in Uni 2 is a overhead, which he can also special cancel into Grim Reaper to keep his pressure going. So GORDEU is really strong in this version of this game. I love the buffs that he got in the 1.21 balance patch, and I feel like any GORDEU player that saw that just rejoiced in the fact that he actually got well-deserved changes. So I think GORDEU is a A-tier character. He could be S. Well, saying S is a stretch, but yeah, I think GORDEU is in a really good spot right now. And now the last characters, NANASE, AKATSUKI, and PHONON. Alright. You know what? Let's do Akatsuki first. I'm not gonna spend too long on Akatsuki because I feel like Akatsuki, I always give like some background context for Akatsuki for some reason. I think, let me move this up a little bit. I think with Akatsuki, I think I'm starting to grow to hate him, and it's because he has probably the most simplistic game plan in the game. Just strike though, knock down, Bitatsu. If you really want someone that excels at just, I don't even want to say base, how do I describe Akatsuki to where it doesn't sound negative? You don't have to rebeat with Akatsuki because his frame data is really good. His 2A is great. His 5C from close range is +1 on block. His Bitatsu crushes lows. It also can chase or punish backdashing. He has great ways of staying in with J236, which is projectile. He can also charge his projectile on a Knife and Birth too. And he has some of the best defensive options in the game. Force function, good. His DP, good. ADP, he can special cancel. I see a lot of Akatsuki players is chain shift a lot, or not chain shift, or VO, because once you actually get hit with Bitatsu, most Akatsuki players would do is IW to get the life lead, probably put you in the corner and just mix up his pressure with either frame trap, a fireball into dash C, or like layer their pressure with J6C. So he's pretty fucking annoying to deal with, and I can't really tell you what he necessarily got in the changes other than like system mechanic things, like his DP having invincibility, and what else, because I'm not gonna BS when I make these videos. Like, I don't necessarily care for Akatsuki that much to where I really like analyze his changes, but I think safe to say that he got buffed. Like I mentioned, he doesn't necessarily have to rebeat because his frame data is relatively good. He has an overhead, which is 6B. And what else can I say about Akatsuki before I move on? Yeah, I think he's always been at a good spot in uni because he can punish you for going for simple things. If you are not confident punishing Akatsuki, he can really make you second guess on your interaction. And I feel like I'm missing something. I think in terms of his buffs, they made his vertical inputs a lot better for whatever reason. So that's a buff that he got. And yeah, I think leaving Akatsuki at A tier is a relatively good spot for him because he essentially does the same shit. Like, he doesn't have the best of mobility, but he makes up for it for how simple his game plan is. You just basically knock down your opponent, put him to the corner, and you just go for strike those scenarios. So that's essentially what you do with Akatsuki. And he can punish you a lot off of going for basic knowledge checks, right? So I believe he is truly an A tier character. All right, so I had to read NANASE's changes so I don't butcher, I guess, my explanation of this character. Basically, what they did with NANASE was they just made her DP have throw invincibility, and they did a lot of interesting changes with her projectiles. She did get nerfed a little bit, or like, you know, her health got reduced in the 1.10 update. So that's interesting. But in terms of what NANASE does, interesting 50-50s with her dash here, her dash B. I think she has one of the most, arguably one of the most unique force functions. It adds well within her character's identity. Her J projectiles is really advantageous on block, especially if you space it out correctly. And what else? Her normals are actually really good as well. 5C charge has dumbass amount of range. Always good Oki, and funny enough, how do I say? how do I say this? Funny enough, I think NANASE is just a really standard and really all-around character. She has great anti-zoning tools as well with 214C, the EX version. It basically goes full screen, so that helps her out a lot. Her tornado spin, you can punish it if you just DP the second hit on reaction. And what else am I missing with her? Her grab is relatively good too. It sets up some Oki in the corner. And ooh, I feel like I'm missing something with NANASE. Yeah, I think NANASE is just a straightforward A-tier character. She's relatively good. She did get a couple buffs within her projectile, but I think she's relatively standard for uni. Now, the last character on my list is PHONON. PHONON is the only character in this game with a install, which makes her A projectiles have a lot more hit stun. Basically what they did with this character in the update is that they increased her backdash. I think a lot of her normals have extended lower hitboxes as well, if I remember correctly. And what else am I forgetting about her? It's something they did something with her projectile in terms of the properties, but I don't remember off the top of my head what it was. But PHONON has always been annoying in terms of space control. She got a new move, I think it's JB charge if I remember correctly. So just to add, I am not a PHONON player by any means, but if you know how to space out her if you know how to space her normals correctly, her 3C also got buffed as well. I think it's a lot faster. And yeah, has an interesting assault gimmick with her that can basically, she can jump forward and backwards. What else am I missing? I think PHONON, the thing I really don't find interest in PHONON that much is the fact that her game plan is essentially almost like GORDEU's, except for the command grab. You just occupy what she spells in her specific range, and you just kind of annoy your opponent with the same sequence. If you want to jump in and mix up with your assaults, you can, because of the bunny hop gimmick shit, which I like to call. And what else? And yeah, the fact that she's the only character with a dragon or a install in general is really unique for her. So just to get this out the way quick, PHONON's an A-tier character. Her changes was only really towards her projectile and her what else, and some of her normals, right? So this is ultimately my updated tier list. A lot of the characters that you see got moved up, but OGRE, ENKIDU, Chaos, MIKA kind of remain in the same place. But this is probably the part where I kind of changed my mind a little bit. ENKIDU to me can be an A-tier character, but he still like struggles a lot. And weirdly enough, just talking about ENKIDU that I forgot to mention, I think his in the 1.10 update, I forgot to mention that his damage kind of got gutted indirectly, so I don't think he does the best amount of damage. His specials and his follow-ups got a lot better, but depending on how you view him, I don't think he's that good, or people don't think he's that good. But for me, like, he could be either A or B, but I'm gonna leave him B because there's a bunch of shit in the A-tier category. Like, once you look at the A-tier roster, these characters have like distinct game plans that they excel at once they get their once they get going, right? ORIE in the corner, thick and fast, get you going. That sounded sus as hell. I apologize for that. HYDE, chip damage, relatively good neutral, get you going. Same thing with AKATSUKI. Like, everybody in the A-tier roster has a reliable game plan that can overall help you win a match. The B-tier category, they have that, but it requires a lot more out the player to really excel at what they're doing. Like MIKA, like I mentioned, 1.10 balance patch, she didn't get nothing. She got something in the second major update, but MIKA players still have to kind of, you know, lab the character to really make her shine. Same thing with ENKIDU, Chaos especially, and OGRE. OGRE can be an A-tier character, but he needs proper buffs. He needs it. Like, that's, let me not rant about OGRE again. And the S tier characters have stupid shit to where once you really excel at what they're supposed to do, the game is almost one-sided. So that's why they're in the position the way they are. Who else can I kind of move on to S tier? Maybe like the only characters I can see in the S tier is probably like KUONs and HYDE. Because HYLDA, like in terms of her 50-50 is really good. Shadow Awaits is too stupid. And KUON's, with the fact that his neutral is still relatively strong, not as strong as before, but the high-low mix, you can't beat that. He still has a reversal. It's just that his 3C is gutted. Who else? HYDE arguably can still be here too, because even though his damage did get nerfed, even though his neutral did get toned the fuck down, he still excels at strike throw, and the fact that they just buffed that aspect of him still makes him like arguably a S tier contender, but I see him more as A tier now. And UZUKI, like her grounded 236A is not that like annoying to where I would put her as an S tier. She's strong, but I think UZUKI, you really have to like lab her and understand what she wants to do, or like you have to understand her win conditions to where you can really put it in your favor. The fact that she doesn't have the best of defensive options hurts her a lot, especially when she gets in the corner. But just to reiterate why I'm putting these characters on the S tier, CARMINE. Once you fight a high level CARMINE, it's basically a one player game because you have to block 90% of the fucking time. Even if he does kill himself in the long run, the fact that he has health regenerable options means that he can kind of keep himself alive in a lot of tough situations. TSURUGI, you have to acknowledge the fact that he got Omega buff and that he can basically bypass neutral with high amount of damage and a great way of punishing projectiles. So people like look at TSURUGI more. LONDREKIA, just his set play got a lot better throughout the updates, so you have to acknowledge that. Normals really good, even though his Hailstorm got nerfed, or his Icicle Rain, wherever the fuck, you can still use it to whiff punch things in the neutral, so that's not bad whatsoever. And he got like debuffs. And what else? YUZUHIRA. Do I really have to explain Yuzu? Hardest character to rush down in the entire game. I consider her consistent conversions because anything she hits you with, she's ultimately going to get a combo. ENKIDU got buffed up really stupid in the 1.21 balance patch. They increased a lot of her hitboxes on her normals, gave her throw invincibility on her DP, and I forgot to mention that she has probably the most unique air. Well, not more than like SETH and SETH and KAGUYA, but she is the only character that can, like, her and SETH are like the only characters that can ADP and actually backdash, so that like helps her out in air-to-air situations. Great dive kick, and the fact that she can like remain plus on a lot of her basic interaction once her bullet gets enhanced really helps her out a lot. And she can the Ripple Cycle once she does the air special that basically flip-flops your opponent's body OD, right? HILDA, or not HILDA, WAGNER might be a little bit controversial because not that many players play WAGNER, but I like her value in her arsenal is because great rush down, great anti-zoning options, high damage once you have her weapons buff, really good strike throw. She has arguably one of the most damaging grabs in the game if she has the proper resources. And yeah, they just buffed up her normals. Her backdash is as good as it was before. So yeah, so that's the reason why I will probably categorize this part of the tier list and to just overview or certain changes with these characters. So yeah, I think this is my final placement of my updated tier list. So yeah, this video is probably like 2 hours long. Thank God I had some C4 with me because I would have been extremely tired. But yeah, hopefully y'all enjoyed this video. I know I kind of ranted a lot about characters that I didn't understand their nerfs or their game plan, so please forgive me for that, but hopefully y'all found this enjoyable. My name is Lightning Hearts. I am a uni content creator, so if obviously anything that y'all disagree with me in terms of the placements I have for your characters, please share them down below. And yeah, stay tuned to the next one, and everyone that's watching, please have a amazing, blessed day. Peace out, y'all.